What a great story.
What a great start.
I wish everybody could have heard
I
that
really wish
story.
they could have heard it too. I thought it was wonderful. It was absolutely riveting.
Had intrigue, suspense.
It had all of it.
Yeah.
It had all of it.
And then had that moment where we start to cry at the end because it's such a good ending.
Yeah.
That's what it was like.
It was really a roller coaster of emotions through the entirety of it.
Yeah.
I'm part of me is glad it's not going to be portrayed on camera or on the podcast because it was a real deep moment for us.
It was, and I can't even retell it because I don't remember it.
Exactly. In one ear, out the other.
Pretty much.
Brain's unable to compute. This is our Thanksgiving edition. It's our Thanksgiving episode 126.
Absolutely.
Which is pretty awesome. There's one thing I wanted to do before we began. Chris, I want you to give me your
best turkey impression.
Best gobble impression, if you would, please.
Okay. Do you want like a drunk turkey or do you want like
a
super hyped turkey? Scared turkey?
I want a super hyped turkey. I want a gobble. I need the true traditional gobble because what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare you to an actual wild turkey to see if your gobble's on point.
Okay. I think I did a couple. You know, like when singers like go, ha na 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 na. Same thing with turkey gobble. Okay.
Right.
Okay, so scared turkey or hype turkey?
Pick your poison.
Okay. Is that like a chicken though? Chickens do the head bob, like the. I think turkeys do the same.
Yeah.
So just imagine I'm real fat.
Yeah.
I'm kind of walking. Okay.
Dude, you sound like an ISIS terrorist going into battle. It doesn't sound anything like a turkey. All right, here's what a turkey sounds like when it's gobbling.
Bullshit, I don't sound like that turkey.
I don't know. Hold on.
I think I sound just like that fucking turkey.
You sound like you're about to dodge a U.S. brigade in the middle of a sand desert.
I'm like that turkey that somehow survived the birth, but it's got its like eyes all fucked up and like doesn't have wings or feathers.
Like the one that is like 25% of its brain is on the outside of its head.
It's like that turkey should have died at birth, but it literally just lives on.
It wasn't. It wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad impression. I feel like most people would do far worse than that. And I will say this. I didn't realize how many different noises a turkey makes. So there's the gobble, which is probably the most common, right?
Sure.
There are like 15 iterations of certain sounds a turkey makes for certain things.
Like sex sounds?
And they are actually categorized differently. So it's not like just a gobble is what a turkey, what noise it makes. There's a whole list of, this is like its mating call. There's a thing called cast, which is, I don't know. I learned way too much just exploring turkey noises.
Yeah.
And I went a little hard in the paint, went a little deep with it, and found out that there's a myriad of turkey noises that are made.
I wonder if Google Translate would work on a turkey call.
That would be awesome.
That'd be great.
I'm not good at it. I've come to find out. I'm not a good impressionist either. I realized that the other day, and someone was doing. There's a podcast that I listen to, and when they do ad reads, somebody gives them a scenario of the ad read. This scenario of an ad read was, she had to, and this is a girl, she had to be Christopher Walken in like a certain setting. And I was like, I do a pretty good Christopher Walken. So I started doing it as I was listening to the podcast, and I realized I'm horrible at Christopher Walken.
Yeah.
And it's actually probably one of the easier impressions to do, really.
They say the best way to do it is literally mimic the facial structure of the person. Like that helps, like all that candor, all that facial, like.
Yeah, but I can't pretend to have Bell's palsy. That's what Christopher Walken looks like all the time.
Yeah.
I can't make my face droop.
Ooh, but I bet you everyone can do a Christopher Walken impression from Sleepy Hollow.
Yeah, that's true because he's headless.
And he doesn't talk.
Right, that's true. Yeah, he doesn't really ever say a word, does he?
No.
There's like one... No, there's like a line or two at the end, I think.
That's all he does. And then he bites the chick.
Could you imagine making millions of dollars without saying a fucking word?
That sounds great, doesn't it?
Oh, it sounds amazing. God, I would love that.
$1 million.
$1 million. Batman. That's the only thing I know how to do.
Yeah.
Bruce Wayne. He's Batman.
Yeah, I can't do it. I just sound like some weird Jersey dude.
Don't you think it's weird that he just sounds like that all the time? And then everybody else tries to mimic him?
Yeah.
Where he's like, this is just fucking normal. It's like Matthew McConaughey's the same way. By the way,
all right.
I think I've already said it before. Check him out. Check him out on Instagram.
It's funny as shit ever.
Absolutely wonderful. It's the funniest thing you'll ever see.
I love his just.
And he's a voice whistle too when he talks.
He takes he takes the energy from here and just drops it down to here.
I love how he's just like
real calm.
He says, "Get a little M to the E or M in the E," and I was like, "You could have just said me." Like, what the fuck are you doing, McConaughey? Get your shit together. Oh, his Instagram is my favorite thing to follow. So we do have a review today, but before we have a review, I do have one story. Well, actually, let me rewind real quick. Some cigar news stuff. The La Colación is finally shipping to retailers. It has already landed at some of them, so it shipped early this week. So if you have been anticipating the La Colación collaboration between Crown Heads, Drew Estate, Willie Herrera, it is out and it's on shelves in most places. Like most places are getting it this week if they had it on order. So it's out there. Give it a whirl. We actually reviewed the La Colación months back, so you can catch that at www.hotticketweekly.com.
Yeah. You know what? Willie Herrera sounds like the name of a New York boxer.
Yeah, kind of.
You know, like kind of
like
got a little
dog?
bit of Italian in him.
Like a boxer dog or a boxer
like
punch boxer?
Like
Gotcha.
Yeah.
A 1-2 kangaroo punch boxer.
Rocky!
I promise you he's not. Also, some FDA stuff. Kind of boring. Don't really like talking about it, but it is, I guess, crucial going forward. So there's a regulatory process, of course, all kind of lumped into the vaping piece of it. Here recently, cigars were exempt from a condition that was made for online sales. And although I wouldn't call it a definitive win, it's a step in the right direction. They're still putting forward a restriction on anything that is deemed $12 and under MSRP, which unfortunately is 75% of the marketplace. Our online sales is $12 and under represents 75%.
Yeah.
So I think obviously pushing forward an exemption like that, but currently it states cigars that are $12 and above will have the ability to be sold online. So it's a good step. It's a step in the right direction. It's not where it needs to be, but I do believe an exemption is likely to be made across the board just in recognition of the fact that these premium tobacco cigars are just simply not the same categorically as the other stuff that they're being lumped in with. So the good news is step in the right direction, still a lot of work to go, but you know, it is what it is at this point, and I'm hoping to see a further exemption to where none of the online sales are harmed. We talked a little bit about like the other night, and my thought process was, you know, I don't preference online sales. I do it out of convenience, as I think most people do. Like, I'm not a cost hunter. I don't look for the best deals necessarily on everything.
Yeah.
Because we do have to smoke and explore just a ton of stuff, right? No different than the Fine and Rare we bought the other day. It's an Alec Bradley cigar I paid more than $20 for.
$22.
I think Chris said it best, is like, well, you can't not buy it. You got to be intrigued by it.
Yeah.
You know, $20, not $20. Let's see what this Alec Bradley has. So Chris and I usually explore. We're not looking for best deals on stuff. We do preference brick and mortar in terms of buying cigars. We like to support locally, like to support that part of the industry. But I do think online sales are great, and they're crucial to continue driving forward in this industry. So I would like to see an exemption made personally. I'd like to see it unaffected, unharmed, because I think it really actually is good to have the online e-tailers, as long as they aren't. I mean, I know, of course, they cannibalize some of the retail sales, but I think both of them have strong places for, you know, certain reasons. So anyway.
And I just want to say this. I am doing a petition for the exemption of cigars for online sales, like the increased taxation and whatever. So just want to let you guys know, I'm putting on an event next Thursday, which is technically Thanksgiving.
It is.
I will be at the corner of Woodman and Forwer in Kettering, Ohio, 45420, between the hours of 2 a.m. and 6 a.m., petitioning for exemption for taxation of the cigar industry online.
Oh, how wonderful.
Yes.
Way to support it,
I want
Chris.
everyone to attend.
All right.
I'll be out there. Corey will be out there.
Isn't that right next to where they petition the abortion clinic?
Sure do. It's a good corner.
Yeah. It's definitely a full corner.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, moving on. I do have a quick story unrelated to Thanksgiving, but I thought it was hilarious. World's first male birth control injection is going to be available soon.
Thank you.
Now, here's the idea. I don't want to spend too much time on this topic because we do have other stuff we got to move on to.
Yeah.
It's an injection in your wiener.
Oh.
Straight shot to the old dick hole. Now, here's the thing. We do have technically what would be considered male birth control in the form of a vasectomy.
Yes.
Right? You get a little snip, snip, a little burn, burn, a little tie, tie. Boom. Swimmers are just circulating in your balls. They never actually come out in your wiener hole. This is an injection. It's actually a gel injection that simply blocks the sperm from penetrating and actually releasing out of your pee hole.
Does it make my dick bigger?
I don't think so.
Oh.
Unless it swells up from an infection.
Yeah, that's true.
I will say this. It lasts 13 years. And
How do they know that?
and is immediately reversible.
Well, you suck the
There
gel out?
is a breakdown of the gel block over time, which is why it's 13 years. Now, here's my thing. Say you want it longer than 13 years. I don't feel like people are counting down 13 years of time. Like at some point, where do you just become conditioned to be so comfortable in the fact that you could just start fucking flying loads out into the world? At like year 13 and a half, you still have that confidence. It's like, I can just pew, 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 and not have a baby. But what happens if you have a baby? Like, what happens at the end of the 13 years? At year 12, does your doctor then contact you again and go, your gel's breaking down. You should probably get more gel.
Take a look at your dick. Looks like the gel's breaking down.
I do like the idea that it is immediately reversible. Of course, it technically, a vasectomy is technically reversible, but doesn't always necessarily happen. There's a certain percentage of which you can reverse the effects of a vasectomy and then, of course, have a child as a result.
I want the
But it doesn't happen all the time.
I want the clap on birth control. All right, let's fuck.
There is that thing. I
switch.
think we actually talked about it on the podcast, the switch that they were talking about embedding in men's stomachs where you could literally switch it on and off. Seems
like
a little worse,
button.
but
what if you don't
it is
know,
literally a button.
What if you don't remember which side flips what side?
I know that would suck.
All I could say is this, though. For any guy that listens to this podcast, which is probably 99.9% of you,
Yeah.
ladies, just understand this from a male's perspective. This is what I would call genetic. I want to say primal. Okay?
Yeah.
Listen, every guy, I don't care who you are, when you've got that fluff going through your head, that like sex mojo shit, every guy wants to be that like tube that they use to like fill jelly donuts.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
You want to blow hard.
Yeah, you want to fill that jelly donut up until it starts pouring out the sides.
Mm.
That's how
Amen.
guys feel
Yeah.
every time. Every time. I don't mean just like once in a blue moon.
That's
I mean
why there's
every time.
primal noises like,
Yeah.
those exist for a reason.
Like, roar! What if I literally did that? Like,
Roar!
roar! I'm such an animal.
What if you just went...
I can't even do it right now. I'm laughing too much.
Oh, yeah. It is very primal.
It's very primal. You can't deny that urge.
Yeah, you cannot deny that.
And
You
then
can't stop it either.
And then when you pull out, it's still enjoyable, but it's like just not great.
No, you just want it to end.
Yeah, at that point, yeah.
That's why, for any females listening to this, no guy wants to be intimate or cuddle after sex. I know it is a part of, I don't want to say it's fully a part of a female's DNA. I think that would be a bad thing for me to make a definitive statement on. But what I can say is that I know there's no guy that wants to like roll over and spoon or, hey, put your head on my, it's like, listen, it's done. get the fuck off of me.
I literally
It's hot. Just let's sleep.
I literally go into a coma. Like, I literally 5 minutes after, I'm like face down, like passed out.
Yeah.
That's just how it is.
Yeah, it's just how it is. It's fucking nature. Jesus. I mean, look at all these other animals that exist just instinctually as far as like them having intercourse with each other. I mean, it is, think about the way they do it and be comfortable in the fact that that's like what we're derived from.
Yeah.
Essentially. All right. So dick injections, 13 years. Are you for it or not for it?
I think I'm for it.
They shoot it in your dick.
That's okay.
In the shaft. Like,
dude, but that's like thousands of loads inside someone.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, 13 years. There's a lot of people who are like, no, I don't want this.
When you look at the sacrifice of what you're accomplishing by doing it. The sacrifice. Yeah. It's just, it's well worth it.
Yeah, I agree with you. All right, moving on. I wanted to get into some weird, this is what I would consider not necessarily known, kind of good, I would say really kind of fun turkey Thanksgiving facts.
Yeah.
Some are kind of oddball, some are a little weird, but they are the holiday facts of which are related to Thanksgiving. I thought the first one was kind of weird to me. So,
have you named your turkey on your head yet?
No. Yeah, I mean, obviously people notice who are watching this that we do have...
we have turkeys.
We have turkey... What would you call this? Turkey headbands?
Sure.
Turkey garb? We have a little bit of turkey garb on right now. Trying to be festive for the holidays.
Yeah.
First one, Singapore weighs the same as turkeys consumed on Thanksgiving. So according to the National Turkey Foundation, approximately 690 million pounds of turkey were consumed in the United States. This is dating back to 2007. This equals the weight of 4.48 million individuals weighing an average 154 pounds in the population of Singapore.
What's crazy?
The consumption of turkey on Thanksgiving is outrageous.
What's crazy to me is when you said Singapore weighs, I literally thought the entire country. I'm like, there's no fucking way.
Like the earth and everything.
Like the mantle included. Like, I'm like, there's no fucking way.
How crazy would that be?
That would be crazy.
Just the human population of Singapore.
I believe it because Singapore's on the downturn.
Yeah, it's not a real healthy population, but it's still pretty significant when you're talking about 690 million pounds of turkeys. I didn't realize we were raising that many turkeys in the U.S. Like, that's wild to me. Benjamin Franklin proposed the turkey as the official United States bird and was not happy when the bald eagle was chosen instead. In a letter to his daughter, Franklin referred to the eagle's bad moral character and proclaimed, "For my own part, I wish the eagle had not been chosen the representative of our country. For in truth, as a turkey is comparison, much more respectable bird."
I'm just going to be real with you. I think he was onto something, and I'll explain why.
Let's hear it.
The eagle, great, right? It's this majestic bird. It's very masculine.
It's only majestic because for a long time an eagle was considered a rare bird.
It has this masculinity to it. It's this predator type of like alpha bird, right?
Yeah, imagine having the turkey on the flat, or like the turkey is your symbol.
That's cool as shit when you're starting a country, right? You want people to experience and acknowledge that you're a powerful country. But I also want to take a look at America's diet. And personally, if I was going to make a comparison to a national bird and the people that live within that same country, we look like a lot of turkeys. We're just a bunch of fat, flightless beings.
A bunch of jab turkeys.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's true. We certainly aren't built like eagles.
We look like a bunch of turkeys.
Yeah, it's probably more appropriate now. And who's to say we can't change it? It's America. You can do anything you want. Not to be outdone, Thomas Jefferson thought a federal holiday for Thanksgiving was the most ridiculous idea ever conceived. It's been said that Benjamin Franklin named the male turkey a Tom to spite Thomas. That's hilarious.
Thanksgiving's an interesting thing, right? It's paying tribute to history. With that famous harvest dinner between us and the Native Americans, which later turned out to be a bloodbath in an exile Trail of Tears type of scenario.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I'm kind of with them though, because we eat like that every day, all day,
Yeah, it's true.
every day of the year. And it's like, why make one day the day where we all just like get gluttonous? We're gluttonous every day.
I mean, we are, but we're not like. Here's the thing. If you're like me, you prep for Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday in terms of food.
Sure.
I prep for what is to come. Like, I will not only work out hard, but I'll stretch my stomach a little
Wasn't there a
bit.
statistic talking about people gain like 5 to 10 pounds during Thanksgiving holiday?
You do, but it's just simply because of the food that you consume.
Yeah.
If you're an active person, one, you're going to shit all that out in a healthy way. Here's the thing. My weight fluctuates during the holidays, like especially Thanksgiving time it'll increase a little bit. But within a week, I'm back down to like my normal
I don't know, bro. I'm
walking
telling
weight.
you, it's real hard to shit muffins, turkey, pumpkin pie,
cranberry
sauce, mashed potatoes,
right?
stuffing, ham,
Right.
cinnamon rolls,
Green beans,
cake, green beans.
pumpkin pie,
Listen,
cheesy potatoes.
when that giant cocktail of fattening, gluttonous, calorie-based foods get pumped into your stomach,
Yeah.
and it's real hard to shit out that log.
Yeah, that's true. Out comes a fucking...
I've never seen my asshole bleed so hard after eating after Thanksgiving.
Oh, all right. Moving on. Sarah Joseph Hale, author of Mary Had a Little Lamb, is credited to be the person most responsible for making Thanksgiving a holiday in the United States. Well, hats off to you, Mary. Thank you so much.
Mayor, I don't even have anything else to say to that.
Yeah, I don't either. Great fact, though. That's wonderful.
What?
James Peter Pont originally composed the song Jingle Bells in 1857 for children celebrating Thanksgiving at his Boston Sunday school. It gained so much popularity quickly, it was again repeated at Christmas time, and then again, and then again, and then again. Meaning that we never associate Jingle Bells with ever being part of Thanksgiving, only represented as a song for the Christmas time. It was originally Thanksgiving.
Idea. Let's blend them together. We'll start a new holiday, Cory.
Yeah.
Between the end of November through the end of December, we'll call it Thanksmas.
Thanks, man.
And Thanksmas is all about giving and receiving. Because let's be honest,
And being thankful for.
Everybody expects receiving. Don't act like you don't.
Yeah.
But here's the reality. We'll change up the holidays a little bit. The Thanksmas spirit. Big giant turkey comes down your chimney.
Just throw a cold turkey, like a frozen turkey down the chimney. That'd be awesome.
You serve him pumpkin pie, and he leaves you gifts underneath the pine tree.
Yeah, I love it. According to the National Turkey Foundation, when Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin of the Apollo 11 sat down to eat their first meal on the moon, their foil food packets contained roasted turkey. Not really a great factoid. In the U.S., about 280 million turkeys are sold for Thanksgiving celebration. That's one bird per person if you don't include infants. 91% of Americans eat turkey on Thanksgiving. Holy goddamn.
If you're a turkey and you don't like that statistic and it's all about pro-life, join me next Thursday when I'm out there for my cigar petitioning. You can join me out there, and you can also, petition your cause as well. Save the bird.
Save the bird.
Save the bird.
Fossil evidence shows that turkey-like creatures roamed the Americas 75 million years ago. Turkeys have certainly changed, but giant birds are still among us. The Guinness Book of Records states that the heaviest turkey on record is 86 pounds. That's
shit.
the size of a very stocky pit bull.
That is a big bird.
That's a big-ass bird.
I wonder how much meat is actually, like, edible meat is on that thing.
I don't know, but it's pretty wild. That's all I have for fun turkey facts.
I love
fun
it.
Thanksgiving facts. I thought that was really good. It was a nice little
I
segment
hope that
for Thanksgiving time frame.
Everybody around the world has learned just a little bit about this weird holiday we have in the United States.
Yeah, completely not applicable to any other country. I always think it's strange. It's where I get excited about certain holidays in the U.S. and I go, the rest of the world gives no shits about what we're doing today.
No.
Thanksgiving probably being the biggest one.
So look at them fat bastards.
Look at them fat fucks. Yeah, that's true. And guess what? British, they're not liking it right now.
No.
I'm going to tell you that. British, you ain't liking this. You'll get over it. It's about 300 years later. Get over it.
There's a reason Americans get into sumo wrestling, because we get fat, we get muscly.
That's true.
We're goddamn giant machines.
Our food is filled with roids, so we are filled with roids.
Yeah.
We do have we do have a cigar review coming up. Pretty excited about. It is actually sounds like a turkey if you roll it together.
It's the.
I don't even know what to call it. I'm not sure how you even pronounce it. La Galera.
Yeah.
We do have a La Galera, and we smoked the Habano. We have that coming up. But before we get into it, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back at you guys in just a minute. Hang tight. All right. We are back. We've got a review for you today.
We got one hell of a turkey for you on this one.
The
Yep, the Habano Chaveta.
Actually, pretty excited to do this. We've never reviewed a La Galera on the podcast before. Now, I can tell you this. I've smoked a lot of these cigars. That's for sure. Just over the years, I've smoked a lot of these cigars. I've smoked a lot of the Habana. I've smoked a lot of the Connecticut. Different styles, different shades of cigars. And I'll tell you this. The one thing that you can't be upset about these cigars for is the price point. I swear to God, you're never going to pay more than $8 for one of these cigars.
Yeah.
And no matter what the iteration is, which I think is pretty awesome. This particular cigar, which is the Larga, is the Habano Chaveta, is what we smoked. Yep. So this cigar was smoked in a Robusto, which we'll get into details later. Yep. But this comes from the Blanco family, from the Tabacularia Palma, is the factory that it was blended in. Part of this, I mean, in terms of these cigars themselves, are typically always going to be that Dominican filler type. The only thing that's not grown at this particular factory from the Blanco Famaha is going to be the wrapper types. So traditional Dominican fillers, which I'll be honest with you, is a nice little change up as of recent. I mean, we haven't had a whole lot of Dominican cigars. I smoked the Dominican Puro. God, which one was it? The Florinata.
Yeah, Florinata.
I smoked one of their cigars the other day. I've actually had a few here recently, and they're both Dominican Puros. Holy shit, man. It like brought me back to one of my first smoking experiences of just having like almost a full traditional Dominican cigar, which I haven't had in forever.
I think it's been a while for me.
Holy shit. I was like, it's fucking delicious. Review coming up on that cigar, so I'm not going to give too much up. But this is kind of what that reminded me of. More of the Dominican innards than what I've been used to here as of recently. So it felt like we were getting on this weird trend of like smoking a whole bunch of Ecuadorian Habano wrappers and just Nicaraguan fillers. And I'm like, all right, we got to get the fuck away from this. So let's do something. Let's have a little bit of a departure from what we've traditionally done here recently. So
sounds great.
So here we are with the La Habano Chaveta.
Yes.
Before we actually get into the breakdown of the cigar, Chris, could you tell everybody how we actually rate these things?
I'm glad you asked. In fact, this week we're inviting on this turkey to actually do the intro.
Oh, wonderful.
No, I couldn't do gobble gobble.
Could you imagine if you're just like...
No, I'm not going to do that to you because you don't speak turkey.
But you jab motherfuckers?
Yeah. Each cigar review starts with a total of 60 possible points and is broken down into 3 main categories. 10 points for the... Oh, God, I have last week's episode. 10 points for construction, 20 points for burn, and 30 points for flavor. We then deduct points for less than optimal construction, burn, and flavor, and see if the cigar is worth the price for a possible 1% bonus or deduction. Then we finally average out our individual scores, giving you guys our total cigar rating out of 60.
That's true. That's what we do. Chris
Absolutely.
is not lying. That's exactly how this is done.
That's exactly how we do it.
That's exactly how we do it. Now, now we got to get into what this sweet little ditty is comprised of. So, I actually said it before, Ecuadorian Habano wrapper, combination of Dominican binder, Dominican fillers. Smoke this in a Robusto 5x50. Here's the crazy part. This guy comes in no more than $6.50. Averages right around the $6 range. It's a very inexpensive cigar. So we always think about these value cigars, what you get for the price paid. So this is why I always have curiosity piqued on something that's either at the low end of that pricing spectrum or the very high end of that pricing spectrum to see what the actual value of that cigar is. So let's get into it. Chris, what did you think about the construction of this cigar?
$6.20. Average price point. $6-ricious.
Yeah.
You might as well imagine it's going to look like a turd for $6. Well, not with this log. This little honey is a well-constructed cigar.
I will say brown in nature.
That's
the only thing that it has in common with a nice little duty.
For an Ecuadorian Habano, nice kind of dark chocolatey looking wrapper.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty freaking smooth, firm, cylindrical stick. And I love the label.
I was going to ask, so I was intentionally going to ask you about the label to see what you thought of it.
It has such a traditionalist look to it, like cigar-wise.
Right.
But it just has this, I don't know, there's something still unique about it. And it pops with the light, soft palette, like the pastel palette on that dark, rich brown wrapper.
Yeah, so I'm glad you said that because I love the band on this cigar. I actually like the sub band on this cigar that's actually at the foot as well because it's that traditional gold.
Yeah.
There's something about gold with cigars, I swear to you, that just stands out. It's a classy look. It's the reason I bought that little gold cigar stand.
Yeah.
Ironically, I post a ton of pictures, of course, of the reviews. Highlighting the reviews, I put it on the gold stand. Who gives a shit about the stand? Well, apparently everybody does because I get fucking hundreds and hundreds of fucking comments where people go, where'd you get that cigar stand from? Yeah. All the goddamn time. I'm like, there is a cigar sitting on this stand of which we are featuring, and you're more concerned about where I got this fucking stand from.
Where'd you get this stand?
Drives me nuts.
Not only did I find this cigar beautiful in construction, but even man upstairs here, right here, Hobgobbler.
Yep.
Hobgobbler fucking loved it.
Yep.
I love Spider-Man, and so I named him Hobgobbler.
Nice. I like it. It's a good name. Appropriate for sure. I thought this cigar is beautifully made.
Yeah, it's great.
For $6.20, holy shit. I don't know that it gets any better than that. I love the idea of the connectedness to the cigars themselves, right? I think sometimes when it's a cigar that's removed, meaning that maybe it's a contracted brand, right?
Yeah.
It's this brand who is getting their cigars made at this particular factory. I always wonder if that factory is taking the same kind of care, time, and attention into rolling for somebody else as they are for their own stuff. So I think a lot of times I appreciate the fact that some of these cigars come in at a good price point because there is no middleman in there, right? There is no markup for the price paid, but still gives you the quality that you'd expect.
Yeah, I'm with you because it's like it's almost like when you set it at $6, you almost want to assume that the QC and like the minimal requirements to actually produce this and put it into a box is a lot lower than a cigar that's priced at a higher point.
Sure.
You know, so that's always like a huge, like, I wouldn't say I always go in with that mindset, but I am at least conscientious that it's like, well, I pray that the manufacturer didn't put this particular stick in this box just because he knew it was going to be a cheap cigar.
Yeah, I think there's definitely consideration to be made for like exactly in terms of price paid, that overall value that we always talk about, where it's blended, who's blending it, what's the brand, and of course, just the time, attention, and care. That's one thing that we don't get to see that process as much, but we can make assumptions about.
Totally.
And in this instance, you're making an assumption that, hey, they're taking the time and attention to not only produce something that is going to be a valued cigar in terms of pricing, but also going to make sure that it maintains its composure and structure and so on through that production process. What do you think about the burn?
Medium gray ash, pretty consistent burn. Hats off to the construction for that. I think that probably helped a little bit, but you know, it's like a 1-2 puffer, like a really easy draw. Weirdly enough, I made note of this in the review. It had the right amount of suction. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I talk about that all the time.
Like, it was just enough resistance on my draw
that
I felt like I was really getting a good draw.
Yeah, those are the best. Yeah, there's always got to be enough resistance. It can't be too much airflow, can't be too light, can't be too heavy.
Yeah.
There is a perfect resistance you give on a draw. Literally, you could call it a perfect draw.
It's perfect draw.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Dead.
Quick.
Killed it.
Yeah, like, who was the quick draw guy?
Billy the Kid. Quick draw. You're dead. Coming up against Billy the Kid.
Go ahead.
Well, you know, and
ladies first.
Thank you. And the other thing is it just burned really nicely, like all the way down. Like I had a little bit of runnage at one point. I'm like, oh boy, you better correct that shit because I ain't touching you. And it did. And it did.
Nice.
And did it pass the hold test? What's the hold test for you that don't remember? It's where we sit the cigar down for 5 minutes and just fucking gobble our face full of fucking turkey, yams, and mashed potatoes and stuffing.
That's exactly what we do.
After that 5 minutes, we put the cigar back in our mouth. If it's still lit and still drawn, it's a good-ass hold test.
That's true.
Did it pass? It sure did.
Yeah, wonderful. I thought it was pretty okay in terms of burn. The only issue that I had was, and where you said it so eloquently in terms of getting that wonderful draw, having the perfect resistance, mine was a little too resistant.
Oh.
Just a little too. It was a little bit of a tight draw, and actually kind of maintain that tight draw through the whole cigar. I didn't want to do too much in trying to loosen it up because the cigar itself, I could tell that the wrapper on the cigar was fragile enough that if I really kind of tried to rub it out, it was going to crack a little bit. And I would much rather have a little bit more of a tight draw than actually compromise the construction of the cigar, which of course is going to affect the burn. So I didn't want to do that. It wasn't overly complicated in terms of that tight draw. It wasn't like something that I was overwhelmed with and saying that like, God, this is a poor experience. It was just slightly tight, but a great even burn throughout the entire cigar. That's what I loved about the cigar, is that it just burned so evenly all the way down. The fillers matched perfectly with the wrapper. Good even burn, very consistent all the way through. Passed the whole test, flying colors. I didn't anticipate it would, actually.
Really?
Yeah, there's sometimes where you're just like, you know what, you like that guttural feeling. Your instinct saying, it ain't gonna work out. It was perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Whenever I get the 1-2 puffers, like on my draw, if it takes like 1 or like 2 or less good hits on it, right, to get good smoke production.
Sure.
Usually I'm like, yeah, this is probably going to do quite well in a whole test. It's when I get into the 3 or 4 puff range and it's the smoke production is kind of minimal. It's like it's suffocating itself.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
But this one did not disappoint.
Absolutely. All right. Arguably the most important category of all. And this being a cigar that, one, we've never reviewed this brand before.
Yeah.
And we're kind of going back to, hey, we're back in the Dominican realm, which we haven't been in it for a while.
Yeah.
Not consistently, at least. So what did you think of the flavor overall?
I'll give it an analogy. You ever had a family member, you're all supposed to bring a dish to Thanksgiving, and your aunt, who you know is not the best cook, but she always makes the attempt to
What are you saying?
put out a dish that...
Are you calling someone in our family out right now?
No, not by name.
All right. You heard it here.
But they have their own sensibilities about what they like as a food, but not as it relates to everybody else who also has to eat it.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Where the rest of us are like, this is garbage.
Right. It's like, but this is my best meal. I love it.
Yeah,
I always
this
eat
twice-baked potato.
I always eat it.
This twice-baked potato is subpar.
But then you get served this dish, and you take a bite, and you're like, oh, she put a lot of salt in that.
You're like, what was Karen thinking?
Why did she put so much salt in that? This cigar is interesting. All right. I will just say this, it wasn't quite for me at first. It was very bitter. Woody and earthy notes, and I think that's probably the Ecuadorian Habano wrapper mixed with the Dominican fillers. Up front, I was like, woo, this is a salty, bitter girl. About 25%, and it does kind of calm down a bit, but then it just kind of got bland for me. It just like lost its punch. Like it's like the food that was served had like a thick layer of salt on it, and then once I got through the thick layer, it's like, well, that has no seasoning on it whatsoever.
Like it was a fat Mexican boxer who's petering out in the 10th round.
Right. It just like went from the extreme to like the underwhelming of flavors. But weirdly enough,
it's kind of like a teenage boner when they wake up. You're full alert, but then once you get rolling, you get pretty flaccid quickly.
Yeah. And it was weird. It was like a quick transition from really strong, pungent flavors to like mellowing out to almost like hard to describe what flavor I was getting out of it. And then it kind of picked up towards the end. I don't know how to describe the experience, but it was just like, it was just an up and down of real strong flavors, not so much.
Right.
Kind of picking back up. But the flavor was consistent throughout. I think it was like this bitter or woody earthiness that was honestly not too bad, but it never hit like a good median average.
Right.
It was either at one extreme or
the other.
not there at all.
Sure.
And so that was a little bit discouraging, but not terrible. It's just okay for me.
Yeah. I agree with you in terms of that there is an overwhelmingness to one subset of flavors versus something maybe that you want to balance it out a little bit. For me, this cigar was very peppery and had a little bit of spice to it out of the gate. There was a boldness to this cigar that actually I didn't really enjoy. I was looking for it to be balanced out. There was kind of a subtle sweetness, I think, that was introduced a part of the cigar, a brightness that, to me, created a better balance in the cigar. What I didn't like about it is this cigar was always on a decrescendo. It was always getting more bland and more boring as it went on.
Totally right.
That was frustrating for me because I expect a lot of times there to be a certain flavor rush that you get at the beginning of the cigar. And then you kind of get in a little bit and then you start to see a little bit of a balance in flavors, right? If we're comparing it to a roller coaster, the first initial like flavor bomb that you get from a cigar is like you rushing down the hill. And then you're kind of going through some soft, smooth transitions as you go through a little bit of a corkscrew, a little bit of a loop-de-loop. This one just kind of seemed to settle down too much. It was almost like you go up and you do a real big rush down, and then it's just kind of a straight, slow shot to the end right when you get to abort the ride. I just thought it was always on the downturn, and I expected at some point, I'm like, okay, well, we're kind of hitting this subtleness. It's not a discouraging flavor profile by any means. It just wasn't that impactful. And then I was like, okay, well, here comes the finale, or here comes this other big burst. And it just never happened. It was always kind of on the decline. It was very impactful up front, but I didn't really appreciate the lack of balance and flavors in the beginning because I thought there was too much of a harshness with the pepper and with a little bit of the spice. It was just, to me, it was too overwhelming at the beginning. The subtle sweet and that subtle savory and the subtle brightness that I got, which was right around the really trying to get into the end of the first part of the cigar, the first third, into the second. I was expecting to be more of an impactful transition. I was like, okay, now I'm going to get this consistently at least for a little bit. And it just kind of went away. You get that spice and the pepper just lingers on, but then there's very bland, very static flavors through the remainder of the cigar until it really gets to the end of the runway is over.
I like the approach, the way that it was bunched when it kind of decreased from very strong, impactful flavors, like shocking your flavor palette. And watching that transition off of it would have given the chance when it got a little bit more bland for your palate to kind of like calm down a bit.
Right.
And then bring the
hit you with
back.
something, right? It just never did that.
It never really did that. And like I said, at least in my notes, it started to get there right at the end, but at that time the cigar was like done.
Yeah, I thought, to me, it kind of shocked that even there wasn't a harsher transition at the end, which I thought was going to be apparent. It just was kind of the same thing through the remainder of the cigar, which to me just wasn't overly pleasant. Yeah. One thing, I will give kudos to the brand overall because this is probably one of my least favorite cigars. I do like other cigars in our lineup that I think have better boasted flavors.
Yeah.
But I think what we have to realize here, and this is the category that we get into next, is this is a $6.20 cigar.
All right.
So really, from a value perspective, did we get what we should have got?
Yeah. So great construction, no doubt, no question. I had a great burn experience, no doubts. Flavor, literally on the lower scale of okay.
Right.
Lower part of the scale of okay for me.
Right. Agreed.
When I take those into consideration, if I am not in a reviewing process where I am being clinical, focused, attentive to my review, if this was just a cigar I put in my mouth to kind of go for a stroll down the street,
right, just for simple enjoyment
and not really pay attention to it too much except for the sake of enjoying a cigar, no doubt in my mind it's worth $6.
Sure.
Does the quality of the cigar, especially in terms of flavor, exceed what its price point is? No, not in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think $6.20-ish, the price that it usually comes in, is a very appropriate price for this cigar.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
I would agree. And actually, I think $6.20 is exactly right. I mean, like $6.50 range, I wouldn't pay more than $7 for this cigar because then I think back to all the other $7 cigars that I've had. there's just too many on the market that I think from a quality perspective and, of course, from a flavor perspective would outmatch this cigar any day of the week. But I thought it was pretty appropriate. And I agree with you. If it's like, hey, this is a cigar that you just sit down with and you enjoy, and maybe you're talking amongst friends in a social environment, something that you could easily forget, but something that isn't going to it's not going to throw you off, right? You're not going to be thinking too much about it. It's a forgettable cigar in a good way, if that makes sense. Yeah. It's one of which you can just smoke to have the experience, but you don't have to really go through the oohs and ahs. You don't really have to go, man, this is really great. You just say, hey, this is part of a social experience. I needed to pick something up. It's a great price point. I think that's where this cigar lands.
Totally. What did you think, Hobgobbler? You can say something. He's shy. He doesn't want to talk. He doesn't want to go.
Also,
you can say something.
I think his beak may have been broken because it's definitely pointing 3 o'clock.
Well, he was in a bar fight recently.
I got it
and
smashed
it fucking
up.
broke it.
Yeah, it looks.
He
like
never got it fixed. He didn't have insurance.
It looks like it. So where do we land on this overall? I mean, from a price perspective, I assume you probably, like me, didn't give it a bonus or a delta. We both thought it was appropriate.
Yeah. So perfect construction, 10 out of 10, right?
Right.
Perfect burn for me. In all reality, 20 out of 20. Flavor out of 30. What did I give it? I gave it a 23, which is on the lower scale of okay. That said, no price bonus. Mine comes in at an 88.3%.
88.3. Okay. I agree with you on the construction. Mine very much had a wonderful appeal to it. 10 out of 10 on that. Burn, the tight draw, especially one that never really loosened up on its own through the remainder of the cigar, gets a minus 1 point deduction, so 19 out of 20 for that. And from a flavor perspective, I came in right at where you did. Thought it was just a little subpar at a 23. That gives me an average score of an 86.7, which I will round up to an 87.
Yes.
Yours rounded out to an 88. Let's call it an 87.5.
Sounds fitting.
I think it's very appropriate for this cigar.
Yeah.
And I think from a price perspective, that's... I think there's some people who would really enjoy this cigar, but again, I think overall, if I were to summarize it, it's a forgettable cigar in a good way.
Yeah. Just pop it in your mouth, not think of what it is, and just focus on something else.
Right. Focus on your friends.
Whatever's
focus on
you.
The conversation.
Whatever's
focus on the movie.
Just
focus on the article. Focus on the magazine. Focus on your phone. Focus on porn. Anything. Just don't focus on the cigar, and you'll be happy.
Yeah, if you're in a pitch black room with no audible sounds other than yourself, just listen to your breathing. Don't even focus on the cigar. Just focus on your breathing.
Focus on the breathing.
It wasn't bad. Don't get me wrong. It's just, I think it is probably the prototypical $6 stick.
Yeah.
As far as
honestly, and don't really have much more of an expectation beyond that.
Right.
That's the great thing.
Right.
For $6.20. Is what you're gonna get.
Yeah, that's what you
hope to get better. That's why I love reviewing and breaking down cigars that are on one end of the spectrum or the other. Things that are in the $9, $8.50, $9.50, even up to $10 range, they're not as fun to review. They're way funner to review when you have something down at the $6 range and then you have something at the $20 range.
Yeah.
Because then you really get to go, is it fucking worth it?
You're challenging it really hard.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And you're being so critical about the experience overall.
Totally.
That's it. That's all we got for today.
Thanksgiving
edition.
I hope you all learned something today about the U.S. Thanksgiving. I really do.
Chris, I want to ask you just before we abandon ship here.
Well, when you're talking to me, you're also talking to Hobgobbler.
I want you to tell the collective audience what you're thankful for.
Oh, I like this. One of my clients actually brought this up in a group chat, and I did not respond to it. So, what am I thankful for? I'm thankful for my dad bod. Thankful for my child, who is basically a feral human.
He very much is. I can hear him right now.
He's like owning a raccoon. You can probably domesticate him a little bit, but he's still a wild fucking animal.
Yes, he is.
And he will sometimes not listen to you. I'm thankful for you.
Oh, thank you.
All the hard work you put into this show for us.
Yeah. I'm glad you finally acknowledged it. Only took fucking 2 years.
I'm thankful for being alive. There's so much things. I could probably rattle off 1,000 things.
But I wish you wouldn't.
I'm thankful for the money I'm making this year.
No, amen to that. Hallelujah.
Woo! Woo!
Praise Jesus.
Woo! Yeah.
Still sounds Arabic when I do that.
There's a lot of things. What are you thankful for, bro?
I am thankful for friends, family, which I know is like a blanket thing to be thankful for, but I truly am. I've been trying to spend more time on other people than I do myself. That's an area of which I've really struggled with in the past, where not even from a selfish nature, but if there's things that I want to do and I want to accomplish, it's like my brain focuses on those things.
Yeah.
And the most meaningful things in life are friends and family and health and so on. So I've been making a concerted effort to spend more time on those things, just enjoying being alive. I'm thankful for my very healthy digestive system.
Okay. Yeah.
Which has never steered me wrong.
Health is important.
Health is very important. I am thankful for you and not all the hard work that you put into the podcast.
Yeah.
But the 15% effort you do put in, I really appreciate.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much.
Ooh, you know what else I'm thankful?
I'm thankful for ingenuity, specifically around vehicles. The Detroit Motor Show and some new cars have been debuted. There are some fantastic vehicles coming out that I'm very excited about.
Ooh.
So very thankful for automotive ingenuity.
I'm also thankful that we won our hockey championship.
We did win our hockey champion. That's the third one I've won in like the past 4 months.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Either through Sundays and Mondays. Just fucking lights out effort.
We killed it.
Yeah, wasn't even close. Wasn't even close.
No.
It was, you know what? Some could say it was the massacre of Cincinnati.
Yes.
In that day, because we straight slayed.
We showed up and fucking obliterated.
It was not even close.
And I just want to make mention to all of you that we might play against in our hockey league, if there is any.
But probably not.
I want you to realize something. You got your ass beat by a bunch of drunk guys.
This is very true.
And a couple more even high.
And one guy who was insanely fucking high.
Who
still murdered everybody.
You all were sober. We were under it.
We were not sober. I was chugging vodka and then chasing it with Red Bull consistently throughout the night.
Yeah.
So, all right. Let's conclude the episode. We got shit to do today. We're going to an event, which is going to be fun. Woohoo. Can't wait. Wonderful Saturday. Thanks, everybody, for listening. This will conclude episode 126. We'll be back at you next week with episode 127. Adios.
Bye.